Sometimes, the cruelest thing isn't hunger. It's being invisible. The winter air bit through the thin fabric of his shirt. No jacket, no gloves, just an old pair of shoes that had lost their soles years ago. People walked past him on the crowded street, their coats heavy, their eyes blind. To them, he wasn't even there. Just another shadow. Just another poor boy. He clutched the small paper bag in his hand. Inside it rattled a few coins, his entire world. He had spent the whole day shining shoes, begging, carrying boxes for merchants. His palms were raw. His stomach was hollow. But no one cared. At the bakery window, he pressed his hand against the glass. Loaves of bread glistened under warm light. His throat ached with hunger. Inside, a group of boys his age laughed. Their coats were fine wool, their shoes polished. They pointed at him through the glass, their faces twisted with amusement. "Look at him," one sneered. "Beggar boy wants a feast." The laughter rang out, sharp, cruel. It wasn't the first time. It wouldn't be the last. He lowered his eyes, pulled the paper bag of coins tighter to his chest, and turned away. On nights like this, the city felt like an enemy. The cold bit harder than teeth. The shadows stretched longer than hours. He wandered toward the edge of town, where the houses grew smaller, broken, cracked by years of neglect. There, behind a sagging wall, was his home, if you could call it that. A single room, roof patched with tin, floor scattered with straw. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. Silence greeted him, the kind that doesn't comfort, it swallows. He set the paper bag on the table. Coins spilled out, clinking against wood. He counted them slowly, lips moving with each number. 17. Just 17. Enough for a crust of bread. Not enough for rent. Not enough for tomorrow. His stomach growled, but he didn't move. Hunger wasn't new. Hunger was his oldest companion. He sat in the dark, staring at the coins. His mind echoed with the bakery boy's laughter. Beggar boy. Nothing. No future. Words sharper than knives. He clenched his fists. His jaw locked. And in that silence, something shifted. For the first time, the laughter didn't just wound him. It fueled him. But destiny is cruel. And destiny is clever. Because the very next morning, something would happen. Something that would take this invisible boy and push him toward a path no one could imagine. A path that would turn 17 coins into a fortune. Sometimes, the smallest dreams are born in the darkest places. The boy woke before the sun, not because of an alarm, not because of routine, but because the hunger gnawed too loudly to let him sleep. The room was cold, damp air crawling through cracks in the tin roof. He sat up on the straw mat, rubbing warmth into his thin arms. In the corner, rats scattered as his movements disturbed them. He didn't flinch. He was used to sharing space with them. He picked up the 17 coins from the night before, sliding them into his pocket. They jingled with a sound both pitiful and precious. His entire worth. His entire hope. He stepped into the streets just as the city began to stay. Carts rattled over cobblestones, vendors shouted, and smoke rose from chimneys. To him, it was a battlefield. Every corner, every turn, a chance to fight for survival. At the marketplace, he offered to carry baskets. Men brushed him off. Women waved him away. Some didn't even acknowledge his voice. But eventually, someone let him haul a sack of potatoes, and for a few coins more, he shined a pair of boots. His back ached. His hands turned black from polish. But he didn't stop, because in the back of his mind, a vision flickered, something that didn't exist yet, but one day might. A room with no leaks. Shoes that didn't let in water. A table with food that lasted more than a single meal. Dreams so small, yet to him, they felt impossible. That evening, after the work and the endless refusals, he sat by the riverbank. The sun sank low, painting the water in streaks of fire. He reached into his pocket and counted again. 24. 7 more than yesterday. It wasn't much, but it was proof. Proof that he wasn't powerless. Proof that even dust, when gathered, could become something more. The laughter of the bakery boys still haunted him. He heard it when the streets grew quiet. He saw their smirks in the reflection of the river. Beggar boy. Nothing. But he, alone with the water, he whispered back to them. Not in anger, not in tears. One word, over and over. Someday. Someday he would walk into that bakery, not as the boy outside the glass, but as the man who owned it. That night, as he lay on the straw mat, he closed his eyes and imagined. Not bread, not warmth, but a future where he wasn't laughed at, a future where people would remember his name. He didn't know how, he didn't know when, but he knew one thing. He would not remain invisible forever. And as the city slept, somewhere far beyond his reach, doors were already shifting. Events were already aligning. Because fate was about to place something in front of him. Something so small, so ordinary. Yet it would become the key to everything. The dust of dreams was waiting. And soon, he would learn how to turn it into gold. A path that would make the world remember his name. Sometimes, the echo of laughter cuts deeper than any blade. The marketplace was alive again. Vendors shouting, carts creaking, the smell of bread drifting from the bakery that always taunted him. The boy walked with his head down, clutching his coins from the day's work. He had earned more today than yesterday, but still, it felt like sand slipping through his fingers. Enough for bread, never enough for life. He approached the bakery window. Warmth glowed inside. Loaves lined the shelves like treasures locked behind glass. He paused, staring longer than he should have. His stomach betrayed him with a growl. And that's when they appeared. The boys. The ones in polished shoes. The ones whose laughter had carved scars into him before. They spotted him instantly, and smirk spread across their faces. Well, if it isn't Beggar Boy again, one jeered. Careful, don't press your dirty face against the glass, another mocked. The boy's fists clenched, coins rattling in his pocket. He forced himself to stay silent, to walk away. But they followed, out into the street. Their voices louder now, sharper. Show us your riches, Beggar Boy. How many crumbs today? He quickened his pace. The laughter trailed him like wolves. At the corner of the street, one of them lunged forward, knocking the paper bag from his pocket. Coins scattered across the cobblestones, ringing as they rolled. The boys erupted in laughter. Look at that. A king's ransom. He dropped to his knees, scrambling to gather them before the crowd could trample them. His hands shook as he grabbed the small, shining pieces of his world. But one coin stopped under the polished shoe of his tormentor. The boy looked up. Their eyes met. You really think these will save you? The rich boy sneered, pressing his shoe harder on the coin. You'll always be nothing. The laughter rose again. Louder, crueler. Something inside him cracked. Not with tears. Not with fear. With fire. He stood, clutching the few coins he had managed to gather. His voice was low, but it cut through their noise. Maybe I am nothing now, he said. But someday, you will remember me. The boys paused, caught off guard for the briefest moment. Then laughter swallowed the air again as they walked away. But the poor boy didn't crumble this time. He held his coins tight. He held his anger tighter, because for the first time, he believed his own words. That night, in the silence of his broken room, he replayed it all. The bakery, the jeers, the coin crushed beneath their shoe. He stared at the ceiling and whispered again, the same word he had told the river. Someday. The laughter still echoed in his ears. But now, it wasn't a wound. It was a vow. And fate was listening. Because cruelty often awakens something powerful. A hunger far stronger than bread. And very soon, the world would give him a chance. One chance. One risk. The kind of risk that could destroy him. Or turn him into everything they said he'd never be. Sometimes, the door to a new life doesn't open. It appears when you're desperate enough to knock. The boy woke that morning with nothing left but determination. His coins were few. His hunger was sharp. But the fire in his chest, hotter than it had ever been. He set out early, before the market stirred, before the streets filled with noise. He wanted to be first. First to beg for work. First to seize whatever scraps the city would throw at him. Hours passed. Rejections piled. Too small. Too weak. Not needed. But he didn't stop. Because stopping meant hunger. And hunger meant death. By midday, his chance came. A merchant on the edge of the square. Older, gruff, unloading crates from a cart. The boy stepped forward, voice trembling but steady. "I can help." The merchant looked him up and down. You'd break before you lift." "Try me," the boy said, his jaw firm. Something in his eyes made the man hesitate. He tossed a crate toward him. "Carry that inside. Don't drop it." The weight nearly crushed him. His knees buckled. But he gritted his teeth, dug his heels into the date, and carried it step by trembling step into the shop. When he set it down, sweat dripping, chest heaving, the merchant raised an eyebrow. "Not useless after all," he muttered. 4 hours, the boy worked. Crates, sacks, sweeping floors, running errands. His arms burned, his back screamed, but he refused to quit. When the day ended, the merchant tossed him a few coins. More than he'd ever held at once. But it wasn't the coins that mattered. It was the words. "Come back tomorrow," the man said. That night, the boy sat on the riverbank again. He counted his coins slowly, feeling the weight of possibility. 36. Twice what he'd had before. For the first time, he allowed himself to imagine more than just survival. Maybe, just maybe, this was the start. But dreams are fragile, because fate doesn't give without testing first. And just as hope flickered in his chest, a shadow loomed over him. It was one of the bakery boys, the same who had crushed his coin beneath polished shoes. His smirk was familiar. "Cruel. So this is where you crawl at night," he sneered, eyes flicking to the coins in the boy's hand. "Careful. Someone might take them." The boy's fist closed tight around the coins. His heart pounded. "Leave me alone," he said. But the laughter that followed told him the risk was far from over. That night, as he lay in the dark room, clutching the coins to his chest, he understood something. This world wasn't going to hand him anything. Every step forward would come with claws at his back. Every coin would be fought for twice, once to earn, once to keep. But he was ready. For the first time in his life, he was ready. And in the morning, he would return to the merchant's shop. In the morning, he would choose the harder road. Because sometimes, survival isn't enough. Sometimes, you have to risk everything, just for the chance to be seen. Sometimes, hunger isn't just in the stomach. It burns in the soul. The boy returned to the merchant's shop at dawn. Eyes heavy, body sore, but determination carried him where strength alone could not. The merchant barely glanced up when the boy arrived. "Back again?" "Yes," the boy said simply. That was enough. Crates waited. Sacks of grain. Barrels too heavy for a child. Still, he lifted, dragged, pulled, sweating through his threadbare shirt. Every muscle screamed, but he refused to stop. Because every drop of sweat was a step closer to someday. By midday, he had earned more coins. Enough to buy bread. Enough to silence the hunger, for now. But he didn't eat all of it. He saved half, because hunger taught him something. Coins were more powerful than food. Food disappeared in hours. Coins could multiply, if he was smart. If he dared, days turned into weeks. Each morning, he worked for the merchant. Each evening, he searched for other jobs, hauling firewood, cleaning stables, polishing boots until his fingers blistered. The city still mocked him. Beggar boy. Street rat. But the laughter no longer broke him. It fueled him, because he had a secret now. His pile of coins was growing. Not fast, not enough to change the world, but enough to prove that his hands could build something more than scars. One night, exhausted, he sat on the riverbank counting his savings. His stomach growled, but his eyes burned brighter than the stars above. 43, 51, 62. Every number whispered possibility. But with every coin, the risks grew louder too. Thieves lurked in alleys. The bakery boys watched him with sharper eyes.